Beta readers, what are they? How do you find them? How do you work with them? Welcome to my channel. I am a multi-genre independently published author under two pen names, T.R. Sloth for all things dark, gory, and depressing, and Marga Primrose for all things romantic and swoon-worthy. Let's get started. So you've probably heard before people working with beta readers, people talking about their beta readers, or people who have been beta readers. Now beta readers are people who are avid readers, sometimes they're also professional editors, who go through early drafts of your manuscript and read it, and what they do is they look for inconsistencies or plot holes, or just parts where it's just like a little jumbled and it doesn't quite make sense. It's very much a big picture overview. Now, I said that some beta readers are also professional editors. That is true. However, beta readers are not editing your manuscript. They do not look for sentence structure. They do not look for spelling. They do not look for grammar. Now, some beta readers will point this out to you regardless, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when I say that, I'm saying it because there are people that I have seen, authors and beta readers alike, who get that kind of confused. I've seen a couple people who they were talking about a book that they had read that had some misspellings and some sentence structure issues, and they're like, they needed better beta readers. No, that's not the beta reader's responsibility. The beta reader's sole responsibility is to read the book and make sure it makes sense. Make sure it's readable, make sure it's enjoyable, make sure that the character's eye color and hair color is consistent, make sure that what you say in chapter 1 tracks with what you say in chapter 30. They look for consistency problems and enjoyability. Now, a lot of people will say beta readers should not be paid. They think that people charging to beta read is unprofessional and immoral. The reason they're saying this is because they think there's many people out there that see beta reading as a favor to authors and a favor to the writing community as a whole. Now, when I first started, I did not pay beta readers. I went the route of finding people within the writing community, plucking them out individually, and working with them one-on-one. This worked sort of. Sort of. There are some people that have a lot of really great luck doing this. I was not one of them. And after a while, I decided to stop working with free beta readers. Let me go through and explain why. When I give a manuscript to be beta read, I want feedback. I want pretty in-depth feedback. I want to know anything and everything that didn't make sense. I want to know enjoyability of the plot. I want to know also things that they loved. And that can be a lot to ask of someone without compensating them. In addition, there's a lot of people who have signed up to beta read for me who never responded. I give them the manuscript and they just disappear off the face of the earth. And honestly, I get it. You're asking someone to do something for you for free as a favor. And people have bills, they have kids that they have to take care of, they have households they have to run, they have jobs that are demanding. And if you're doing something for free out of the goodness of your heart with absolutely no compensation, and this something can take hours of your life, yeah, it's going to be put on the back burner. And I get it. I'm not trying to point fingers or judge these individuals who did not respond to me when they said that they would beta read. Like, it sucks. It does suck. I'm not trying to pretend that it doesn't, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't get it, because I do. That's a lot of work to ask of someone for absolutely no compensation. Now, some people, when they have people who beta read for them for free, they'll send them a copy of their book once it's published, which is a nice little compensation, but still, I got to thinking about it, and I don't think I agree with that whole setup. So I've started working with professional editors who are also beta readers. That is for several reasons. One, the amount of work that goes into beta reading, I really do think does need some sort of compensation. And two, I need feedback. I'm getting a little frustrated with the number of people who say that they will beta read and then don't get back with you. And like I said, I understand why people do this, but I can't keep putting off my books and putting off my publications because people are not getting back with me. This is a business for me, and I need to treat it as a business, and I need to treat the people that I work with as business partners. And so that is another reason why I have started paying editors and other people in the book community who have some sort of developmental editing certificate to beta read. Now, your next question might be, well, you're paying for edits, how much is this now going to cost if you're adding beta reading on top of it? The answer will vary depending on who you work with, but one of my professional editors who I now go to for beta reading, she charged me $70 for my book that was 72K words. So it's really not that much. If you're on a shoestring budget, I can understand where $70 might be quite a bit of money for you. And if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Just work with individuals that you find that will get back with you and are reliable, and that's fine. Okay, do what works for you and for your books. Working with free beta readers did not work for me, did not work for my books, and I had very bad experiences with that. And even some of the beta readers that I was working with when I first started hiring beta readers didn't go well. So you really just need to be careful. If you're on a shoestring budget, then just vet your people very carefully and try to find people that have very good testimonials and have authors that work with them for multiple books. I think that's a really good sign whenever you're looking for an editor or anyone to help you with your book. If you have an individual, a freelancer who has authors that keep returning to them, that's a really, really good sign that that person is professional and reliable. Now, let's go into the process of editing in beta readers. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different stages of editing. If you want me to do an in-depth video about the different types of edits, let me know in the comments and I'll work that into my schedule. For right now, we're just talking about beta readers. So I always worked under the impression and in the flow chart where you write the book, you have very early readers, oftentimes called alpha readers, who help you when you're still in the very early stages of development of the book. You go through, you do your self edits, and after you do several rounds of self edits, then you go to beta readers. And after beta readers would come like developmental edits, line edits, copy edits, proofreading, and then ARC readers. Nice little flow chart there. I very recently, like within the last 3 months, have discovered that there are some people that don't do it like that. Instead, what they'll do is they'll do like the early readers and the developmental alpha readers, and then they go into developmental edits, copy edits, line edits, and then beta readers, and then proofreaders and ARC readers. I don't agree with that flowchart for a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons I do not agree with that flowchart is because the beta readers are pointing out things that don't make sense in the plot, things that are inconsistent, things that are going to need to be rewritten. So if you have to rewrite something, I've already paid my editor sometimes thousands of dollars to do line edits and copy edits, and now I have this whole new paragraph that I have to put in, and that paragraph is not going to have line edits or copy edits. So why am I paying my editor to do line edits and copy edits if I have to then go back and potentially add in more paragraphs and sentences? That for me is the biggest reason I don't follow that flow, and why I prefer to have beta readers at the beginning of my process than at the end of the process. Because honestly, editors can get expensive. And I'm not trying to blame editors for the prices that they set. I'm not trying to say that we should not pay them what they need or what they are asking. I am saying that they're expensive. I mean, I'm not going to go through and rewrite my book after I've already paid somebody a couple $1,000s to do line edits and copy edits and developmental edits. It's just not going to happen. And that's the biggest reason why I do beta reading and alpha reading at the beginning, not the end. And in addition to that, there have been some problems where I've been working with beta readers and they get frustrated and they're like, there's typos in this. I can't read this. Ma'am, yes, there's going to be typos. It hasn't been proofread yet. Like, you do realize that beta reading, you're signing up to read an unfinished book. That's the point. You're reading an unfinished book to see what needs to be fixed. So that kind of goes in with my next topic, working with beta readers. Working with beta readers can be frustrating, but it can also be extremely rewarding. There's several different authors and blogs and vlogs out there that will tell you different methods of how to work with beta readers. When I first started, I followed this one YouTuber who has a very popular channel, and her method was you give the beta reader one chapter at a time, and you want them to give you feedback on each chapter before you give them the next chapter. Logic behind that is that you want to make sure that they're actually reading it and giving you feedback before you just give them the whole book, because sometimes people will read the whole book and just go, yeah, it's good, and that's it, and that's all you get. Which is another reason why I have decided to start paying beta readers who are professionals and who are trained, because I can't work with that. Someone reads my whole book and the only thing they have to say is, yeah, it was good. Thank you for the ego boost, but I do need some constructive feedback from you. That's why I'm asking for beta readers. Now, I tried this method when I first started. I had beta readers and I would send them one chapter at a time. Oh my God. It was such a pain. It was such a pain in the butt, and it was inefficient. And there were people who just got fed up with it and didn't want to work with me. And I get it. I never should have followed that advice. For me personally, it did not work. And that kind of ties into the whole idea of why I now work with professional editors who also beta read, because it gets messy. It gets really, really messy. And when you're asking someone to do something for free out of the goodness of their heart, you're going to get what you paid for. And if you're a person who does beta reading and you don't charge, I'm not necessarily trying to point my finger directly at you and say you are the problem. I'm just saying, in my experiences, that has been a problem. Not every single one of them, but quite a bit of them. The thing about beta readers is you do need to make sure that they're within your genre. Now, I've had this happen before where somebody, for romance, for example, they read primarily dark romance, but they also read other genres such as paranormal, which is what my first book in romance is. It's a paranormal romance. And this woman was reading the book and she basically said that she didn't like it because the main male character wasn't enough of a douchebag. And I'm like, okay, that's super helpful. If I change his personality, that's going to change the entire tone of the book. It's going to change the entire plot of the book. So this kind of, I know I talked about this in my last video. Take advice with a grain of salt, even if it's coming from your beta readers. I've also had beta readers who kind of obviously missed some major parts of the book. And I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, my book is perfect and they're all wrong. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are instances where you need to think critically about the feedback that you're getting. Because there definitely have been times when I've been working with a beta reader and I'm talking to them about something, and they seem to have forgotten everything that happened in the immediate previous chapter, which can be frustrating because you do need to get your feedback and you need to make your book better, but you also need to make sure that the people that you're working with are actually reading your book and giving you legitimate feedback. So again, it can be frustrating, and you do need to try to vet them. And like I said before, vetting them by finding someone who has repeat authors go to them is a really great sign. Now, I'm not saying you can't take a chance on someone who's maybe new to the industry, but again, always go into it with a critical eye. Always look for these things. Like, for instance, in one of my books, I had a main female character who flinched anytime someone tried to touch her. Anytime they were near her, she full body flinched. And then halfway or so through the book, the man who was trying to date her, he said, I would never hurt you. I could never hurt you. You're too precious to me. And this was right after she flinched for the umpteenth time when he was around her. And my beta reader said, it makes no sense for him to say that he would never hurt her because she never gave any indication that she was afraid of him. And she meant, with her words, she meant that the character never said, I'm afraid of you. And I'm like, she's flinched like a million times every time he's near her. That's what that's in response to. So again, critical eye. Don't ever think that your book is above reprieve, but also don't blindly take advice from beta readers. Now, in addition to that, Beta readers are not always going to be nice. They're not always going to pad your ego. And if you're new to being an author, that's something that you are going to have to get used to, because reviewers, beta readers, editors, people who are going to destroy your book. One, editors shouldn't necessarily just be shitting on you and telling you you're a horrible writer. They should be constructive. If they're not constructive and they're just telling you you're awful, maybe you need to find a new editor and or new beta reader. I actually had this happen with one of my beta readers. They were frustrated because there were typos and because they didn't like some of my sentence structure, and they responded with, "I don't have time to fix your book." So that was fun. And when you hear something like that, it can really be hard not to take that extremely personally, because you're asking them to help you fix the book and then they say, "I don't have time to fix the book." Whatever. And I do think that sometimes this comes into play with what I was talking about at the beginning, where different people think beta reading comes in at different stages. I think beta reading should be at the early stages for reasons I already stated. And it's entirely possible that this person thought beta reading should happen right before proofreading. I'm not entirely sure, but this individual also told me that the first chapter of my book should only be exposition. And she didn't like the first chapter of my book because after she read it, she had questions about the story and questions about the main character. Different strokes for different folks. I don't know, it takes all kinds. Keep in mind when you're working with beta readers that you are not paying. They are doing this as a favor to you, and always approach them with that attitude, because if you're snippy or you're short or you're difficult to work with, they will drop you like a hot potato. And I do not blame them. People have busy lives. They ain't got time for that. You should also always take feedback with a grain of salt. Don't be a pushover. Don't change anything and everything in your manuscript just because someone doesn't like it. Their customer is always right in matter of taste. So it could be that your book is just not to that person's taste, and that is okay. So always, always, always be nice to your beta readers. Take everything with a grain of salt. If they're snippy with you or they say something mean, I always advise not to engage. Don't engage and get into a pissing contest with people who you asked to help you with your books. It is okay for you to sit there and go, "Wow, that was really uncalled for. I don't think I want to work with this person anymore." That's fine. That's fair. I just personally don't think it's appropriate to start a pissing contest with someone. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to just roll over and take everything. It really does depend on what level of snarkiness they came at you with. And listen, this just realize this makes it sound like people are always going to be attacking your books. That's not the case. But on the off chance that it does happen, you need to be prepared for that possibility, because it can and it will happen at some point in your career. You're going to work with somebody who's going to say something pretty nasty. And you need to know how to respond to that. You need to know to be prepared to not have that knee-jerk reaction. If you need to take a step back and then come back to it and look at it at a later time, that's okay. And like I will say this in every single one of my videos, there is no one right way to do something. So if you like the idea of just finding beta readers that are friends within the community and you want to follow the one chapter at a time method, I know several people who do that and it works really well for them. And that's great. And they find people who love their previous books and are their perfect, exact target audience, and it works really well for them. And there are other people who get beta readers who are a little outside of their target audience to get a different perspective. Again, there's nothing wrong with either method. Do what works for you, and always make sure you take things with a grain of salt and look at it with a critical eye, because I would hate for you to fall into the trap of trying to make everyone happy. You're never going to make everybody happy. It's a fact of life. If you are like me and you want to work with beta readers who you pay because you're getting frustrated with people ghosting you and not getting back with you, then I would suggest you look through editors. There's a lot of editors that will also do beta reading and alpha reading for you. I found both of mine through Instagram. Instagram is not the only place. And if you do find someone through Instagram, just double check their website to make sure that they tell you that they are certified, where they got certified, and that they have other authors that they have listed that they've worked with, like previous works or testimonials, just to make sure that they are legitimate. Now, if you don't want to find people through social media such as Instagram and Facebook, there is also Readsy. Readsy has a database of editors that have been vetted. Places such as Fiverr also will list editors and also specifically beta readers that you can work with. And Fiverr will have an area where you can look at reviews from people who have worked with them. So that's another really great option. Again, the price is going to vary widely. One of the people that I worked with for beta reading, she did it based on a range of words. So if it was under 100K words, she charged $130 flat. If it was over 100K words, the manuscript, she charged extra. And there were additional things on top of that that she did. Like she did like chapter reports and like a marketing report with it. And then the other woman that I worked with, she's an editor and she charged per word. She didn't have a flat rate. She charged per word. So when I had a manuscript that was around 70K words, she charged me $70 for it. So just keep in mind that if you are looking to work with professional beta readers and ensure that you get feedback through paying someone to beta read, there is a decent range of prices available. So don't get disheartened, just shop around a little bit, go through Readsy, go through Fiverr, and also go through Instagram. If you have author friends, you can ask them who they work with too. Don't be afraid of doing that. I know sometimes I kind of get in this headspace where I'm like, oh, I don't want to bother other people. I don't want to seem like a nag. Most authors are not going to mind if you ask them a question. It's fine. If you go into their DMs and you say, hey, I love your books, or, we've interacted before on social media and I just have a quick question, most people are going to be okay with that. Now, if you just come in guns blazing and you're like, I demand all of your attention, that's not going to go over well. But if you're just like, hey, I have a quick question for you, that's fine. Most people are going to be very, very open to that. So don't worry about it. It'll be great. If you have any questions or anything that I did not cover about beta readers, please leave me a comment and I'll do my absolute best to answer it as in depth as I can. I think I covered pretty much everything, but if there's something specific that you wanted, let me know. I think my email is in my profile. I'll double check that, but you can always shoot me a comment under the video and I'll answer those questions there. And also, if there's something specific about the editing process that you would like me to do a video on, let me know, because I'm here to entertain but also educate. So if you have any questions that I didn't cover or that you want me to cover in next videos, let me know. I can't guarantee how quickly I'll get to it because I post videos only like once a week. So it might take a little bit before I get to it in my schedule, but I'm very open to that. Let me know if you have any specific questions or concerns that I have not covered yet. Thanks for joining. Maybe I should have a blooper reel at the end of this because I am out of it. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. I've really been rambling. Ramble, ramble, ramble.